Well, after much hype and anticipation, a long-awaited pairing has finally come together in what is by far one of the most entertaining episodes of the entire season. Hey guys, remember for Supergirl, Season 2, Episode 13, Mr. and Mrs. Mxyzptlk, and I was definitely really looking forward to this episode. As you guys know, I've been very up and down with the Mon-El and Kara pairing, but I was definitely on board with it after last week, and this episode focused almost heavily on them. In fact, this was a Valentine's Day episode. I'm not quite sure why they did a Valentine's Day episode this week, but whatever, because I'm actually happy they aired it, because this was a great episode. I mean, I definitely really did love this one overall. We got introduced to one of the I think most entertaining one episode characters we've had so far that I really did love. We had a lot of fun stuff going on Mon-El in this episode. We had a really nice plot for Alex and Maggie, and just in general, we really had all the stuff that makes a great Supergirl episode. Still nothing for John, but let's just get in this episode because I definitely do want to get into it. I really did love it, and we start off immediately where the last one left off, where we see Mxyzptlk, which say that 3 times fast, very hard to say. We're just gonna call him Mixie because that's what she calls him, and I don't want to butcher his name throughout this entire review, so I'm just gonna say Mixie. He proposed to Kara after making candles, and a string quartet appears out of thin air. Now, Mon-El tries to step in, saying the Kara's with him, but Mixie simply teleports him to the DEO in nothing but his underwear, which is probably one of the most embarrassing times of Mon-El's short time on Earth, and Kara tries to show Mixie down after he puts her in a wedding dress, but Mixie assumes that she's playing hard to get, and Mixie is such a fun character. I mean, the second we see him, he's, already calling her his wife, and saying all these really cheesy insults. He's singing Aladdin. I mean, I really did love this actor overall, and he says that once he falls for the all-powerful Mixie, she can never go backseat, and basically there's no possible way that she'll say no. She basically has to say yes. So John explains that Mixie is a fifth-dimensional being, and that both Mars and Daxam have come in contact with them before, and Daxam hates Mixie. Like, Daxam wants nothing to do with him. He is an enemy of them, and he's seen him on Mars, but, Mon-El kind of has a bone to pick with him because of him being from Mars, and Mon-El warns that fifth-dimensional beings party hard but are quite dangerous, and I love hearing about the history of Daxam, because things have just ran so differently there, and basically, that's exactly what we see from Mixie. I mean, Mixie totally seems like that guy that, he's crazy, but he's, like, dangerously crazy. Like, this isn't someone who's fun to party with crazy. This is someone who will probably fuck you up crazy. Like, this guy is genuinely dangerous, and afterwards, John says that he needs to send Megan a Valentine's Day message, and again, you can tell that he's not over her. I do like that he's still with her, but I think he does need to back off a bit, because she already told him that he needs space, and that she needs to leave, so it's cool to see that they're still in contact, but at the same time, I think John does need to take a step back a bit. They didn't really do much with John besides that, but Kara promises Mon-El that they can get back to their previous conversation after Mixie goes away. So, because obviously they were in the process of Mon-El talking about how he feels for Kara and things like that, and we'll get into that much later in the episode, but Mixie in general is just a really fun character, and I really did love seeing him in this episode. But then we get to the subplot where the next morning Alex finds out that Maggie actually hates Valentine's Day. She thinks that it's just, one day to say that they, significant others love each other. She thinks it's very unnecessary. She thinks that guys, kind of makes them prioritize girls, and she just doesn't like the holiday at all, which is problematic because Alex clearly loves the holiday, and she has to act like she doesn't, and this is a genuinely good conflict for Alex and Maggie to go through. And I've said it before, the show has done some really great stuff with Alex and Maggie all season. I really love what they do with them. These two just work really well together. And when they give them a great plot like they did in this episode, it works extremely well because these two have such great chemistry, and this is a very good example of that. So, Wynn tries to get drunk at the alien bar to celebrate Valentine's Day because there are tons of couples making out, and he just needs to kind of, take the weight off, and he meets this cute alien girl named Lyra from the planet Starhaven, and she saves him from two thugs looking for a fight, and after Wynn mentions that he knows a bit about her planet's customs, she asks him out on a date, and that was pretty cool to see. I like seeing Wynn actually finding love here with this girl. But Supergirl then stops a bank robbery, but Mixie appears, tries to kill the robbers with their own guns, which that was awesome to see. I love how he's like, oh, I saw this in a movie once. I thought that was just really cool the way he did that. But again, you can see how he's dangerous. I mean, he clearly does not really know what he's doing. He doesn't exactly have the firmest grasp on, his powers and things like that. And, John tells Wynn to go through the DO archives to find an alien artifact that can negate Mxyzptlk's powers, because he obviously is very powerful, and this could be a very dangerous situation for Kara. I mean, he's literally fighting alongside her, and he won't just leave her alone. Mxyzptlk is a stalker in every way possible, and there's no possible way that she can get away from him, which is, you know, really kind of annoying Kara. I mean, as much as she does like the attention and she likes him in her life, she really doesn't want Mxyzptlk around, and you know, she really is annoyed by that. So Kara and Alex return to Kara's apartment to find it's full of roses, and Kara also suggests that Alex turn Valentine's Day into a holiday that she and Maggie can celebrate, but of course Alex is kind of in a bind there, because as we know, Maggie wants nothing to do with Valentine's Day, but Kara, you know, is telling her to find a way to turn this into a good thing. But just then, Parasite appears out of nowhere outside of her apartment building, and Supergirl Mon-El tries to fight him, but Mxyzptlk arrives dressed in a Superman costume and stops Parasite, and that was awesome to see. I thought we were going to get a return of Tyler Hoechlin. I was about to freak out, but no, we did get Mxyzptlk, and Mon-El threatens Mxyzptlk, but Supergirl tells Mon-El to leave. Mxyzptlk warns Supergirl that he won't stop until she says I do, and that things could get bad for Earth very soon, because basically, John was talking about how, the way to handle Mxyzptlk would be just to say, you know, his name backwards, but obviously, Kara, you know, that he's not going to make it that easy. And you see throughout the episode that there are different kind of things that he says that seems like they are able to get him away, but it's not that easy, and things could get really bad for Earth if she doesn't say I do. So she's kind of forced to marry him, which she obviously doesn't want to do, but she's kind of forcing her against his will, and I definitely did like the way this was done, with Kara going through this impossible situation, kind of having just, you know, not be able to say, really give an answer. It was very interesting to see, and again, I really did love this duo throughout the episode. So back to the DO, Mon-El and Kara fight over how to handle Mxyzptlk, and we get this very good scene where Mon-El claims that Kara is holding him up to a double standard, but Kara thinks that Mon-El is just very weirdly jealous, and she really feels that Mon-El should not handle Mxyzptlk, that she needs to handle Mxyzptlk on her own. I love what she says, look, I don't need you to fight my own battles for me, because that's what Mon-El wants to do. Mon-El wants to protect her, and she says, look, I'm not a damsel in distress, I can do this on my own, and that's been my fear with Kara and Mon-El getting together, is that I don't want Kara to have Mon-El do a lot for her, but we can see that's not the case. You know, even if she was, I think, in a relation with Mon-El, she'd still do the fighting on her own, because she is such a strong person, and she is able to take, you know, she is able to take people like Mxyzptlk down. She knows how to do this, and she wants to do it on her own, and I definitely did like seeing that. I mean, obviously, there are going to be some things that she can't do on her own, as we've seen, you know, such as saving Livewire and things like that. That was something she couldn't do on her own. She needed someone to assist her in doing that. But in this case, she can do this on her own. She wants to be able to do this on her own. So Mon-El claims that Kara's holding him up, and Kara realized that her and Mon-El were a bad idea, and that there's no reason, this was a horrible idea, they should have been together, because again, he's just going to try to fight her battles for her. But later, Mon-El takes an artifact that Wynn suggests might in fact kill Mxyzptlk, even though Kara just specifically told him not to. He is insistent. He's going to try to fight him as much as possible, and Maggie then snaps at Alice when she tries to throw an impromptu Valentine's Day date for them, and basically, we find out why Maggie hates Valentine's Day so much, which was very sad to see. That Maggie admits that she actually hates Valentine's Day because it marked the day when she got kicked out of her parents' house, even though she told, you know, Alex initially that her parents accepted her. What actually happened is that she had a friend who she liked, and basically this scared her off. You know, she sent her flowers and she liked this friend, and this scared her friend off. She called her parents, who then contacted Maggie's parents, and that's basically how Maggie's parents found out about her being gay, and they were not very accepting of it. And the reason she didn't tell Alex is not because she didn't want to tell her the truth, but because she wanted to go through a much different experience. She wanted things to go a lot better for her, and it's a very nice moment where you really do see Alex, you know, come clean to Maggie, and you see that Alex is actually very forgiving, and she can understand why Maggie feels this way, and I really do like this relationship overall. It's very healthy. There's really no sign of it weakening, and I like that even when they go through these tribulations, such as something as, you know, trivial as Maggie not liking Valentine's Day, they find ways to strengthen the relationship. That's exactly what they did here. It really seemed like this was going to be the end for them, and that this was really going to end up to be a very bad situation for Alex, but it was really the other way around completely, where Alex actually strengthened their relationship rather than weakened it, and I was very happy to see it go in that direction here. I really do like Maggie and Alex as a couple. I think they work very well together, and I really like the great stuff they did with them throughout this episode. And episodes like this really do show how much their relationship has strengthened, not just, you know, as their relationship, but strengthened Alex as a character. So Win arranged for a nice Valentine's Day for his new alien friend, but she starts making out with him instead. She really is not interested in a date. She just kind of just wants to hook up, and Supergirl finds out that Mon-El actually took the alien artifact to kill Mxyzptlk, and we get one of the coolest scenes this episode where Mon-El challenges Mxyzptlk to a Daxamite duel, but Mxyzptlk isn't just going to do that. He uses the opportunity to transport them to a theater. They're both in Hamilton costumes, and Mxyzptlk tries to get them to basically fight all Alexander Hamilton versus Aaron Burr, which was awesome to see, and Mon-El gets the upper hand thanks to the artifact. Unfortunately, Mxyzptlk gets his hand on the artifact, and, he first tells Mon-El that if he just shoots him, it's going to kill him, but it's a prop gun. So he gets the artifact, and Mxyzptlk gets away with the artifact and teleports it away. And right before Mxyzptlk tries to shoot Mon-El, Supergirl arrives, agrees to marry Mxyzptlk, realizing she has no other choice, saving Mon-El, and she says to meet him at the Fortress of Solitude the next day so they can have a Kryptonian wedding, because she really doesn't have another choice here. She knows that either she marries Mxyzptlk and there's really nothing else she can do about it. And it was sad to see. I mean, I definitely did feel bad for Kara for that reason, but seeing those two duke it out was awesome. I love seeing Mon-El and Mxyzptlk just, fight alongside each other. It was a lot of fun to watch. I definitely really did enjoy seeing that, especially, Mxyzptlk's Hamilton references. That was just a lot of fun to see, and, again, you really do kind of feel bad for Mon-El in this situation. But the next morning, Mon-El tries to talk to Kara out of marriage for marrying Mxyzptlk, but Kara says the only way to stop Mxyzptlk from wreaking havoc on her. There really is no other option here, and plus she and Mon-El are just too different to work. They just can't do that, they just can't be together after a situation like this. After everything she's gone through, how could she ever trust Mon-El again? I mean, Mon-El is way too overprotective of her. There's no possible way that these two can be together, and again, you're kind of feeling bad for him. As much as I didn't want these two to be together, throughout these two episodes, I've really seen the care that Mon-El has for Kara, and I've really seen Kara's concern for Mon-El. These two really do need each other. I think that's something that Kara really isn't thinking about here. In many ways, Mon-El, he wouldn't be as strong without Kara, and Kara would not be as strong without Mon-El. I mean, again, Mon-El finally makes Kara feel like she has someone who is lower than her, and someone who is who isn't as acclimated to the times as Kara is, which Kara is very acclimated to. Mon-El isn't, and I definitely think that's something that Kara very well needs Mon-El for, and I think we definitely do see that here. So Kara runs into Maggie, who, while looking for Alex, Kara says that Valentine's Day was important to Alex and suggests that Maggie make some changes if she cares about Alex, and Supergirl flies to the Fortress of Solitude and tells Mxyzptlk that she's not marrying him. She only sent him to the fortress to minimize any damage he could do if he took the news poorly. And sure enough, he takes the news poorly, animates the crystal statues of Superman's father to attack Supergirl, and she busts up the statue, says she's done with him. She sets the fortress atomic cauldron to explode and seals the fortress to lock herself inside. She's literally about to kill herself, and Mxyzptlk, she says Mxyzptlk can't stop him from killing herself, but she does eventually allow him to type in the code to stop the detonation. He realizes afterward that the code was actually his name spelled backwards, which was such a badass moment, and it's good enough to send him back to the 5th dimension. And before he leaves, she tells Mxyzptlk that he can't force someone to love, but can only let it find him, because he clearly doesn't love anyone, and he wants to, love Kara, but that's not how relationships work. You can't just force someone to love you. It has to come naturally. It starts as a friendship and then blossom to something more. And that's something that Mxyzptlk wasn't willing to do. Mxyzptlk just full speed ahead wanted her to marry him. But that's really not how it works. What Mxyzptlk wants is out of a Disney fairy tale. And that makes a lot of sense why he was singing, Disney fairy tales. He probably thinks this is how relationships work. When Kara's telling him straight out that's not how relationships work, they really do take time, and I really did like seeing that there. I really like seeing the maturity in Kara in that situation. She definitely did get the best of Mxyzptlk, but still was looking out for him, and I think that's a very nice blend of how Kara is still a badass, but really does look out for people, and I really thought that was well done there. So Win meets Lyra for an official first date, says that while he doesn't mind being in a relation with the alien, he doesn't want to get hurt. She agrees to take it slow, immediately demands Win to take her back to his place, and I'm guessing we're going to see these two again. I like seeing Win with Lyra. We don't know too much about Lyra as a character, but I like that he at least does have a love interest and actually someone who he can, have a relationship with and someone who he's not, in a triangle with. I think this is a lot better than what they tried to do with him and Kara last year, and I really do like these two overall. So Maggie gives Win a fancy dress and throws an impromptu Valentine's Day dance to make up for being an idiot for earlier, and it's a nice scene where those two are having this dance, and they're dancing with each other and feeling close and everything. I definitely really did like that. But now we get to the ending, which I know you guys want me to talk about, where Mon-El shows up at Kara's apartment, almost identical to the end of last week's episode, where he shows to her apartment, apologizes for acting like an ass earlier, and he admits that Kara is his kryptonite, and that he's never really felt like this before. And remember, Mon-El's never felt these type of feelings. Mon-El still is learning how to feel love. Mon-El's still learning how to feel like a human, and again, he doesn't really know how to comprehend love. He doesn't know how to talk in front of her, and he tries to leave, but Kara says that she only said they were in a romantic match earlier to protect him from Mxyzptlk. That's the only reason why, so he wouldn't strike against Mxyzptlk. In reality, she really does love him, and she really does want to be with him, and it makes sense, too. I mean, some people could say, oh, it's a cop-out because she spent the entire episode telling him they can't be together. No, she only did that so he wouldn't try to, hurt Mxyzptlk, so he wouldn't, try to go up against Mxyzptlk, because she was genuinely concerned about Mon-El. That's why she was so defensive about, because she wanted to do it all on her own, so he wouldn't hurt Mon-El, and with Mxyzptlk gone, that leads Mon-El and Kara to finally kiss, finally consummating their relationship, and that is the way this episode ends. Really great stuff overall. Let's just get this episode and where I think we're going to go from here. So overall, guys, while this episode was kind of filler, it really wasn't looking back at it. I really thought this was going to be an episode where, wasn't really going to have much impact, but it really did, because it really was about Kara and Mon-El's relationship. How much these two need each other, how dependent they are of each other, and I really did love seeing that. Mon-El would do anything for Kara, Kara would do anything for Mon-El, and we definitely do see that within this relationship. And now it makes sense why these two are together. I know it's taken me a while, but the reason I was so skeptical about it is because I just didn't think of these two as a couple. But now hearing, Kara confess to how much she, needs Mon-El, and how much she realized that she actually does need relationships, and she does want to be able to balance both being a superhero and having a relationship, and having a guy to fall back on, and things like that. And hearing Mon-El say he's never felt about her like this before, now I can see it. I really can see why these two want to be together, and it's really the perfect time for them to be together. I'm very happy to see that they're now finally together. It just feels so satisfying for Kara after all she's gone through. She finally is a guy that she actually can have a relationship with, and that she actually can make work. This isn't impossible to think about, and I definitely did like seeing that. I like seeing that Kara actually does have someone in her life who she genuinely can have this relationship with, and she doesn't have to worry about him, being human, or, being in, on the wrong side, or finding out that she's Supergirl. She doesn't have to worry about those things because he knows all that stuff already, and I really did love that about Kara and Mon-El. I think it's been a long time coming, and I'm very happy to see that they're in a relationship, but the going there was a lot of fun to watch, and I will definitely say that I can understand why they got them together now, because a lot of people may say, oh, why get them together now? Why get them together at episode 13? Why not wait till the end of the season? Personally, I don't know about you guys, but I would not want to spend an entire season waiting for these two to get together. I think it'd be annoying. I think they just keep finding ways to, separate these two apart, and I really was not in favor of that. I think that it would get way too repetitive. I think it would get way too melodramatic, and it's more realistic to do it this way, where these two just don't have the right timing, and now finally, at the 11th hour, they finally have the right timing, and they're finally together, and I was very happy to see that. But I really did love the character of Mxyzptlk here, I gotta say. Even though it was a short stay, I loved what we got of him. I thought he was a lot of fun to watch. The actor playing him especially looked like he was having so much fun in the role, and he's probably one of the best one-episode characters we've had, because most of them are very, very forgettable, where they're just these really cheesy villains, but this one was different because he was much, he was much different from the other villains we've had. He was kind of like Cupid on Arrow if she wasn't cringy, because Cupid on Arrow I can't stand. I find her very annoying. I don't really like that character. But here, I really do like Mxyzptlk. He was just a lot of fun. He genuinely wanted someone to love, and he didn't really understand how love works, and I liked the way the Kara kind of gave him a lesson with that. I thought that was a lot of fun to watch. Between his Hamilton stuff, and him seeing Aladdin, and all the powers he did, was just a lot of fun to watch. I really love what we got of Mxyzptlk in this episode. I really do hope we see him again. I could very well see him being one of those recurring villains that we see every so often. I think that's going to happen with Mxyzptlk, but I don't know. We'll have to see what happens there. I really did like what was going on there. As far as Alex and Maggie, I like the struggle they went through in this episode. You know, you saw in this episode that, yeah, they are going to have some pitfalls in their relationship. They are going to have some things that they don't necessarily agree on, but it doesn't mean it's the end of their relationship. This can strengthen them. When it may seem to be a weakness, it can actually be a strength, and I really did like that message here, how this really did help their relationship rather than hurt it. They found ways that they could really, Maggie ended up revealing something to Alex that she's probably never told anyone in her life, that she was probably embarrassed about, and that she didn't really want Alex to know because she was afraid of her, you know, freaking out and thinking that this could happen to her. But now that things have gone so well for Alex, now it's time for them to reveal things to each other. It's time for them to get closer, and I like seeing these two get closer, I have to see. I really do like Alex and Maggie's relationship overall. It's just something we didn't have the first season. I think it really is benefiting Alex as a character. You know, she's not just Kara's sister this season. She has a relationship, and I really do love the way that relationship is going. And it really doesn't seem like there's any foreseeable end for them, and I'm fine with that. I don't need them to have foreseeable end. I just want to see two people be a couple. Rarely does the CW actually do that. They always find ways to get them, you know, separated, whether it was the whole drama with Oliver and Felicity last year. That was most of the problem with Arrow Season 4, is they just created way too much drama for those two, or whatever the hell was going on Legend of Tomorrow last year, or anything in the Vampire Diaries. I mean, the Vampire Diaries in general is just struggling relationship after struggling relationship. This show does not seem to do that. It actually seems like it wants to get these two together, and I did like seeing that. I like that they actually do seem to, you know, be together, and nothing's really going to hurt them. You know, they're just going to be a couple, and I like the way that was done. As far as Wynn and Lyra, I like this girl. We don't know too much about her, but I'm happy to see that Wynn does finally seem to have someone. You know, it's not him pining for Kara. It's not him trying to get with someone who is evil. He actually seems to have someone. I'm hoping that Lyra doesn't turn out to be evil, because I actually would like to see Wynn with a girl and actually have a relation with her. I just think it'd be a lot of fun to watch, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen there. My only real complaint in this episode is John. John, we saw that brief thing with him gone, and we maybe could have had more of an arc going on there, but I understand there was a lot of time devoted to Mxyzptlk, and we really wanted to flesh out Mxyzptlk as much as we possibly could. I understood that. But John, I just felt like they could have done a little bit more with him. You know, we know what happened between him and Gon, and we know that he was sending messages to her, but other than that, we really didn't get much with him. And where was James as well? James was nowhere to be found. She didn't really go to Catco once this season, and I've heard, I mean, once this episode, and a lot of people have said this season has had problems with balancing time between the DO and Catco, and that's definitely true. I think it's because the CW's has a bigger budget. They like to do stuff that's similar to The Flash and Arrow than something that's similar to what the show was in Season 1. I think they wanted to make it as much like Flash and Arrow as possible. And I think that's why I've been focusing less on Catco. That's because of it being on the CW and things like that. But again, I really did love this episode overall. I thought this was a very fun episode. Definitely one of the most entertaining we've had this season. And it ended in a very satisfying way with finally getting Kara and Mon-El together. And I'm definitely going to give Supergirl Season 2, Episode 13, Mr. and Mrs. Mxyzptlk, a 4.5 out of 5 or an A-. So far, guys, maybe this episode of Supergirl. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode overall. Again, I don't know why we did a Valentine's Day episode 1 week behind. I'm ahead. I'm guessing that the CW meant to air Supergirl earlier than it did, but it just couldn't because, I don't know, if the inauguration was a factor of it or something like that. But that's it, my review. Hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for the season premiere, the final season of Bates Motel, which I am absolutely hyped for. I can't wait to see the way that is going to go down. I've waited so long for that, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.